The BRVM ended the week in the green, and that matters. The market traded for only 3 sessions out of 5 because of public holidays, linked to religious celebrations. Yet, despite this shorter trading week, the main market indexes still moved higher. That tells us something important. Even with lower volumes, investor appetite remained present. This is your weekly recap with Markets Talk, the podcast by Daba Finance. The BRVM Composite, which gives a broad view of the regional stock market, rose by 1.07%, closing at 425.54 points. The BRVM 30, which tracks 30 of the largest and most liquid companies on the market, also advanced by 0.98%, closing at 199.55 points. In simple terms, the overall direction of the market was positive. Why is this important for investors? Because when a market rises during a shortened week, it often shows resilience. Investors had fewer sessions to trade, adjust portfolios, or react to news, yet buyers still dominated the market. The week ended with 25 stocks rising, 19 stocks falling, and 3 stocks unchanged. That is an encouraging signal, especially in a context where trading volumes naturally declined. On the trading activity front, 2,479.95 shares changed hands, compared with 3,981.403 shares the previous week. That means volume fell by 37.71%. In value terms, total transactions reached 4.17091 billion francs CFA, compared with 6.9982 billion francs CFA the week before. That represents a decline of 40.28%. But be careful. This drop should not be read as a massive withdrawal of investors from the market. The exchange simply had fewer trading days. It is a bit like comparing the sales of a shop open for 3 days with the sales of the same shop open for 5 days. The number can fall without meaning that customer interest has disappeared. Among the most active stocks, Sonatel Senegal once again stood out. The stock recorded transaction value of 671.8 million francs CFA, representing about 16.08% of total equity market value traded. This confirms Sonatel's status as a key benchmark stock on the BRVM. For many investors, Sonatel remains a liquid stock, meaning it is generally easier to buy or sell because there are regular buyers and sellers in the market. Société Générale, Côte d'Ivoire, and BOA Senegal also contributed to market activity. These are important signals because banks and large service companies often sit at the center of the regional market's momentum. When these stocks attract trading, it shows that investors are still looking for visibility, liquidity, and companies capable of generating consistent results. Now let's move to the week's top performers. And here, Servair Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire clearly took the lead. The stock rose by 10.78% to close at 3,785 francs CFA. This performance came in a favorable context for the company, especially after its dividend announcement and ahead of its annual general meeting. For investors, this is a useful reminder. Dividends and corporate events can strongly influence how a stock behaves. Africa Global Logistics, Côte d'Ivoire, came in second, with a gain of 6.47%, closing at 1,810 francs CFA. This move is interesting because the logistics sector is directly linked to trade, ports, economic activity, and the movement of goods. When a logistics stock performs well, it can reflect renewed interest in companies that benefit from real economic growth. Bernabé Côte d'Ivoire completed the top 3 with a gain of 5.67%, closing at 1,185 francs CFA. Behind it, Sucre Ivoire rose by 4.9% to 2,075 francs CFA, while total SN advanced by 4.85% to 3,350 francs CFA. The key takeaway is the diversity of the gains. We saw services, logistics, distribution, agro-industry, and energy represented among the top performers. The market was not carried by only one sector. On the downside, BOA Senegal recorded the steepest correction of the week. The stock fell by 5.57%, closing at 7,545 francs CFA. This looks more like profit-taking than a deep loss of confidence. Profit-taking simply means that some investors sell after a period of price appreciation in order to lock in their gains. Aura Group Togo also fell, declining by 3.70% to 2,600 francs CFA. Crown Siam lost 3.03%, closing at 1,140 francs CFA. Safka Côte d'Ivoire fell by 2.84%, while Secor declined by 2.73%. For investors, these movements are a reminder that a positive market week does not mean every stock rises. Stock selection remains essential, and this is exactly where Daba Pro becomes valuable. Daba Pro helps you go beyond simple price movements. You get detailed stock analysis, weekly recommendations, exclusive data, and tools that help you understand why a stock is rising, why it is falling, and what that could mean for your portfolio. Now let's talk about the bond market. The bond compartment recorded a slight consolidation. Its market capitalization edged up by 0.01% to 12,040.2 billion francs CFA, compared with 12,039.1 billion francs CFA the previous week. A bond, let's remember, is a loan made to a government or a company. In return, the investor usually receives interest payments called coupons. Bond trading activity reached 15,267 securities exchanged, for a total traded value of 84,096,510 francs CFA. Activity was mainly concentrated on the 10-year Senegal government bond with a 6.40% coupon, maturing in 2032. A total of 400 securities were traded on that line, for a transaction value of 3,120,000 francs CFA. What should we understand from this? The bond market remained relatively calm, with a very low turnover rate. That means bonds did not change hands very actively. For cautious investors, bonds can offer a more predictable income stream than stocks, but it is always important to look at yield, duration, liquidity, and the quality of the issuer. In the bond recommendations available for the coming week, several sovereign lines stand out with attractive yields to maturity. We see bonds from the state of Senegal as well as TPCI bonds, with different maturities and yields that sometimes exceed 7%, 8%, and even more depending on the line. For an investor, this means there are opportunities in fixed income, but yield must always be compared with risk, duration, and the ability to resell the bond on the secondary market. The week was also marked by an important development around Mali's sovereign debt. Moody's lowered the outlook on Mali's rating from stable to negative, while maintaining the rating at Caa2. In simple terms, this means the agency still sees high risk, especially because of the security environment, political tensions, and Mali's growing dependence on regional financing. But the picture is not entirely negative. Moody's also recognized the resilience of Mali's economy, with growth estimated at 5.6% in 2025. The economy continues to benefit from the strength of the primary sector and services, even though difficulties in gold production, energy supply, and external financing remain key concerns. For investors in the WMU region, this kind of information matters because governments in the region regularly issue debt on the regional market. Understanding sovereign credit quality helps investors better assess the balance between yield and risk. Now let's talk about dividends. And here too, there is good news for investors who like regular income. Several companies have already announced or confirmed dividend payouts in 2026. Among them are BOA Benin, BOA Burkina Faso, BOA Côte d'Ivoire, BOA Mali, BOA Senegal, Ecobank. Côte d'Ivoire, Sonatel Burkina Faso, Orange Côte d'Ivoire, Sicable, and Sonatel Senegal. Other companies also appear in the dividend calendar, including SOGB, Société Générale Côte d'Ivoire, SAPH, Palm Côte d'Ivoire, Total SN, SMB, CIE, Solibra, BC, Nestlé Côte d'Ivoire, and several others. The average dividend yield shown in the recap stands at around 5.15%, with 29 paying companies out of 47. For investors, this is a very concrete reminder. On the BRVM, returns do not come only from rising share prices. They also come from dividends. And sometimes, those dividends can make a major difference in the total performance of a portfolio. To view the full dividend calendar, including payment dates, yields, and the companies concerned, download the Daba app. It helps you follow announcements, identify important dates, and better organize your investment strategy. Looking ahead to the coming week, opportunities remain available, but investors will need to stay selective. Some stocks still show interesting potential according to the available analysis, while others may already be well valued after their recent strong gains. We will not mention the specific names here because those are reserved for Daba Pro subscribers, but investors should watch 3 things: large liquid stocks, companies with attractive dividends, and businesses whose market price still appears below their estimated value. And if you want to learn how to read these signals yourself, Daba Academy is here to help. Daba Academy helps you understand the stock market, equities, bonds, dividends, and how to build a portfolio. There is currently a promotion available. By using the code PODCAST, you get a 3,000 XOF discount on your Daba Academy registration. To receive weekly recommendations, access exclusive analysis, and reduce your investment fees, subscribe to Daba Pro. With Daba Pro, you do not just follow the markets, you stay ahead of them. This was your weekly recap with Markets Talk, the podcast by Daba Finance. The BRVM ended the week in the green, top stocks animated the market, dividends continued to attract investors, and the bond market remained a space to watch with discipline. See you soon, stay curious, stay informed, and above all, stay invested.